Knock asks, number 1, have you ever made a YouTube video and not said fuck at least once? Number 2, what are your thoughts on one console system that could play any game ever released without any problems regardless of the format? Question 3, what do you find the most frustrating about video gaming? Actually, I have made videos where I don't say fuck. They're mostly the comic book videos, but yeah. Just so happens that most of the time whenever I'm talking throughout most of my videos, it's not so much I'm even trying to say the word fuck. It literally just flows right out, because when I sit down in front of a camera, it's not like I have, you know, a bunch of scripts like sitting there and wait and I'm memorizing them and shit. I literally just sit down and start talking. So this is kind of just how I talk normally. Yes, I'm a foul-mouthed motherfucker. I can't help it. I don't know. But with the comic book videos, I don't know. I just don't say fuck. And it's really weird because, again, it's not something that I try for. But when I watch them, I'm like, wow, I didn't say fuck once. And somebody even noticed that once and pointed it out. I was like, that's kind of neat. But yeah, it happens every so often. On a blue moon. As for a system that could play anything and everything, it would be really awesome. It's just that it would need to be able to, like, use any kind of controller, and then it's like, well, what kind of, like, online format is it going to have? Like, there's a lot of variables to take into account. I would like a one system that does everything and plays everything, but at the same point, then you don't have nearly as many options. I like the fact that there are multiple consoles. Yes, it does mean that we have to spend more money, but you know, if there's multiple consoles, that means that they'll keep on trying to innovate and beating the competition, and the competition will try to keep up and trying to outbeat them or come up with ideas that they haven't come up with. When you have only one machine, then you're pretty much limited to next to nothing. Competition is good, so I do think that they ought to actually keep with making multiple consoles, because it's better for us in a way. Well, most frustrating thing about video gaming, honestly, would have to be fanboys. Fanboys quite literally can ruin even the most awesome things, just with their fucking blatant ignorance, stupidity, lack of fucking information, and all around just not giving a shit about any opinion other than their own, because they're pretty much a narrow-minded fucking moron. Anybody that's going to stick by one console and one console only, and then fight to the bitter end because somebody else plays something different, they're a fucking idiot. Okay? If there's two franchises, both of a similar genre, and somebody's like, this one's much better, especially within a first-person shooter genre, because I notice that seems to stem the most fucking fanboys ever. Like, people comparing fucking Call of Duty and Halo and shit. Who the fuck cares? Why don't you just play both and shut the fuck up and enjoy them? So yeah, that's the thing. Fanboys, they've been around since, like, the dawn of fucking gaming, when there was, like, you know, Nintendo versus Sega, and then it was Nintendo versus Sony, now it's Sony versus Microsoft, and shit like that. But all around, yeah. Fanboys will always be around, and they'll always fuck up a good thing. Why? Because that's what they're bred to do. Childbreeder20 asks, what are your top 5 favorite bands of all time? And are you a serial killer? Top 5 favorite bands, I'd have to say Pantera, Slayer, Cannibal Corpse, Death, and Morbid Angel, because all those bands are fucking brutally awesome. As for am I a serial killer? No, but if I was, I think I'd be really good at it. I watched the show Dexter. That means I can be a serial killer now. No, but I'm not a serial killer, but goddamn, I have thought about just executing so many different people just for being idiots alone. Deadpool96 asks, what are your thoughts on the rumored Deadpool movie? Well, I'm actually excited about it so long as they get somebody to do it right. Because here's one of the major problems that happened with, you know, X-Men Wolverine movie. Well, he was Deadpool at first. Whenever you got to see Ryan Reynolds' face and everything, and he was like doing that first mission, that was kind of like Deadpool, except for he didn't have the mask and he wasn't all fucked up looking, and he wasn't regenerating. But then they just fucked it up from that point forward. I want Deadpool to be just like in the comics. I want to break, you know, the fourth wall and everything. I want him to actually make fun of the audiences. I want him to make fun of the fact that he's actually on a set reading a script. You know, he's in a movie. Make fun of the fact that there are special effects and shit. You know, if he's doing some crazy jump that there is a wire and everything. Like, I want him to actually, like, make fun of stuff like that. I also want it to be, like, really graphic because, one, he's a fucking pervert. He's a loudmouth. He says lots of funny shit. That's what I want the movie to be. So tons of jokes and tons of action and lots of violence. So yeah, that would make the perfect Deadpool movie. Hopefully we can get like a decent director to make that happen. And writers, just get some of the comic writers, because they write really good shit. Deep Dark Nightmare writes... writes... Deep Dark Nightmare... Oh my god. Why am I saying writes? Oh... Deep Dark Nightmare asks, if you could become any video game character to have ever... Wait, oh my god, I can't read! Alright. Deep Dark Nightmare asks, if you could become any video game character you have ever played as, who would you be and why? If I could become any video game character, I would probably be Dante from Devil May Cry. And no, not the I don't know, the weirdo fucking cracked out Dante that Ninja Theory is saying is Dante. No, not him. Because if I did that, then I'd have to weigh like 65 pounds, and I'd also have to be on meth. So yeah, I don't want to do either of those things. But anyway, I'd be Dante, because one, Dante's awesome in every way. He has super cool powers, he kicks lots of ass, he's always surrounded by hot chicks, he's going on tons of crazy fucking adventures, he's fighting things that come up from hell. And yeah, he just seems like he has a pretty fun life. And he likes booze and pizza. Those are two of my favorite things. They're fucking awesome. And he likes metal. And that's bitchin'. SpriteMaster214 asks, do you think that the Xbox is going to go to shit with the Kinect? It's not going to go to shit because of the Kinect by any means. Xbox is going to keep on flourishing and doing really well. The Kinect, on the other hand, honestly, Microsoft should just take like the rights to it and sell them off to companies, because here's the thing. Gaming-wise, it hasn't done shit and it doesn't seem that interesting, and most hardcore fans could give a fuck less about the thing, and they're never really gonna fucking care until they actually make real use of it, and even then, I'd rather just have a controller. But besides that, it's the fact that the camera, there's all these different companies that have applied it and made really good use of it outside of gaming. So yeah, I think that they should just sell the rights and get rid of the Kinect and make more money that way outside of gaming. It'd make more sense from a business standpoint. Sticktail1 asks, hey, if the world was to end and you lived for 3 days, what girl celebrity would you fuck? I'm not really one all about celebrities whatsoever. I could just give a shit less, but there are a couple chicks out there that I do find incredibly hot for numerous reasons. So, I'll just name off 2 of them because I can't think of most of them off the top of my head for some reason. So the first one would be Rose McGowan. If anybody saw the movie Jawbreaker, she's in that. She also dated Marilyn Manson for a while. Rose McGowan is just ridiculously hot. She's drop dead gorgeous, like in every single way. It's like, holy shit. Yeah, just hot. Secondly, if anybody is a fan of wrestling, then you'll know who this is. In TNA, there's actually a chick wrestler. Her name is Daphne. Daphne is just too hot for fucking words. Just fuck. Like, I thought she was hot back when she was in WCW and nobody even gave a shit about her. Like, and all she did was, like, stand at the ringside and, like, scream and act like a mental case. I found that incredibly attractive. Other than that, I'd probably bang the shit out of a bunch of girls on Suicide Girls. Yeah. Because a lot of them are smoking fucking hot. So, yeah. Those are some of the chicks. Woohoo. Hot. Quim Beerbig. Or Quim Beerberg. I don't know. I'm trying to say it as best as I can, but yeah. Anyway, which game in your collection is your favorite collection piece? Not necessarily your favorite game, just which game do you enjoy having in your collection the most? I would have to say, out of everything, it would be Panzer Dragoon Saga on Sega Saturn. Because I wanted that game for years and years and years and years, and could never find it anywhere. And on eBay, it was going for like $200-300. I was just not willing to pay that much. And then I finally did get my hands on a copy for a good price, and I was pretty happy. So yeah, that's probably my favorite piece I have, like, gaming-wise altogether. Helsing Archives asks, what do you think of Resident Evil 1.5? What do you think of Fear Effect? And if you could make Dino Crisis 4, how would you do it? Resident Evil 1.5 is one of my most sought after and wanted games in existence. I quite literally would kill to have that. Like, I would light people on fire without a second fucking guess. just to have that game because it's something that was amazingly awesome. I'm probably going to end up making a video about it just because I like it so much and want to see it really happen. Then I've signed numerous petitions for it. Capcom apparently does not give a shit when thousands of people sign something. Really annoying. But yeah, I would really like to see that happen. Fear Effect 1 and 2 were really awesome games. It's kind of sad because they were in the midst of making a Fear Effect 3 and then they stopped. But I did like the first two a lot. They were just really amazing games. And it was kind of crazy because it was like the first time they ever showed like lesbians in a video game. I was like blown away when I was younger playing. I was like, oh my god, booby on booby. Amazing! But yeah, Fear Effect games, they're pretty cool. I always wonder if they are going to bring that back. Hopefully. Dino Crisis 4. I would like to see a Dino Crisis 4. The first thing that I would do is not acknowledge Dino Crisis 3. Because I don't want dinos in space at all. That's kind of like when you take horror franchises and you're desperate to come up with like a new plan, so you just put them in space. Jason went to space. Leprechaun went to space. Like, why would you put a leprechaun in fucking space? That doesn't make any sense. Hell. Hellraiser. Hellraiser. Okay, Hellraiser, Pinhead, and all of his little buddies, they went to space. You don't put things in space. It just makes it retarded. If it starts out in space, that's fine. Like Aliens, they were in space. That's cool. But, you know, Dead Space. It's in space. It's supposed to be there. But you don't put dinosaurs in space. One, it's fucking stupid. Like, why do it? If I was going to make the Dino Crisis... Dino Crisis 4, how would I make it? I'd probably make it a little scarier, like the first one. Include some of the puzzles, like the first one did. But I'd make the gameplay similar to Part 2, except for control better. Yeah, that's what I would do. Because I like Part 2, but I missed things that weren't in Part 1. So I would kind of just merge them together and make Part 4. Completely ignoring Part 3 altogether. And Regina would be back in the game, because she was an awesome character, and she deserves more recognition, goddammit. The Completionist asks, Number 1, what do you consider your best game in terms of your own personal gaming skill? Number 2, your rants are the best, but what do you consider one of your biggest gaming pet peeves? Number 3, what is one unthinkable thing a fellow gamer could say to you that will result in you punching them in the face? Number 4, what is the hardest boss you've ever faced in a video game? And number 5, would you drink some alcohol or take a shot of something while you're doing this video? Now, will I take a shot? Well, yeah. Just so happens, I always do have Jaeger. So, just so you know, it is a double shot. So, down a motherfucking hatch. Smooth. Game that I consider I'm the best in terms of actual skill. There's actually quite a few that I would say I'm actually really good at. Let's see. The Guilty Gear franchise, Soul Calibur 3. Those other Soul Caliburs I'm not nearly as good at for some reason. It's because they always change up the moves and everything. Let's see. Beyond that, the SSX games, really good snowboarding games. I'm actually ridiculously good at some of those. Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2. I have a pet peeve with Tony Hawk series now because it's not nearly as fucking awesome, but Tony Hawk 2, before they started like fucking up everything, that was like one of the coolest things ever. I had such ridiculously high scores that were well over 1 million, like with a single combo. So yeah, it was pretty neat playing those. Other than that, I mean, I can't really consider like too many other games. Like, I guess like some of the Super Mario games, because I can go through, not ever get hit, not ever get killed, complete the entire game. So yeah, I'm pretty good at those. But yeah, those are games that skill-wise, I guess I'm pretty awesome at. My biggest gaming pet peeves. No, I can name one right off the top of my bat. I hate time limits in video games. I hate them with a fucking passion. So much. Like, they annoy the living shit out of me. Because there's never been a time that there was a time limit in a game, and I was like, yay, this is great. No. No, it's fucking horrible, and it makes me want to rip my fucking hair out and fucking headbutt somebody in the teeth and fucking break them out. It's horrible. It's like, what the fuck, man? Why would you put that? Like, oh, I gotta rush through the fucking game. I can't actually enjoy it. Stupid. Dumb. Fucking retarded. Let's see. Other than that, cheap bosses in fighting games, because like every fighting game seems to have one. Just recently, Mortal Kombat, you have the fucking Shao Kahn in the story mode, you can only use Raiden. So then you're fighting him, and he just clobbers the living shit out of you and absolutely ends your day. He's like, stomp a mud hole and walk it dry? No. I'm gonna put my boot so far in your ass, I'm gonna wear you as a new shoe. Except for he's not wearing boots, he's wearing like sandals. So I guess Raiden will be his new sandal. So yeah, he's gonna be knee deep in Raiden. And that's what happens. It's so fucking cheap. Like, it pissed me off to absolutely no end. Oh, Tekken 6, actually. I was just thinking about that. Another cheap fucking retarded-ass boss. Guilty Gear Asuka. The one boss in that, I forgot what his name is, but he takes up, like, the entire fucking screen. He's a fucking dickhead. I hate him. I hate fighting him all the time. He's such a fucking jerk-off. It's just, I don't know, horrible. Galactus and Marvel vs. Capcom 3, he gave me a lot of problems. He was just a fucking dick face. Like, God. Like, I don't mind when they make bosses in games, but just make them less cheap. So, yeah, those are some pet peeves. Very annoying pet peeves. I can't really think of too much that somebody could really say to piss me off, but something that would make me want to punch somebody is if they said, the new Dante is better than the old Dante. Now, I would just be like, pow! Right in the fucking face. Like, oh, I would not even fucking think twice. Then, like, pick them up and powerbomb them off a building. Just, I would just look at him bewildered, like. So yeah, that would actually piss me off. My punch him in the face for that. The hardest boss I've ever faced in a video game. There's actually one. The very end boss in Lunar 2. Here's the thing. When you get to the final dungeon, once you enter it, you can't come back from it. I didn't know that. So I had to scrape along through the entire dungeon at a really low level. I'm talking like I was basically dying all the fucking time. And I got to the boss, like, I have like no healing items and anything. So I was fighting like the worst battle in the entire world. It took me 2 days to beat him at my level. I forget what level I was because this happened such a long time ago. But my friends were actually like keeping tabs on it. And they had came down. I had like 8 people in the room while I'm fighting the boss. And everybody's just sitting there like watching in anticipation. And I finally beat him. And we partied that night. I shit you not, we partied just for that. Because everybody was just like, you fucking did it! You finally did it! And I was just like, I'm broken inside. Like, it was fucking rough. I think the other boss that I can think of off the top of my head who was ridiculously hard was in Kingdom Hearts 1. When you're going into the Coliseum, and it's like platinum match, but it doesn't tell you who you're fighting. I went into it, and I was seriously like level 41, and all of a sudden, Sephiroth comes down from the sky, and I was just like, oh, fuck. Man, that was so cool. Look how cool he is, but oh, fuck. Oh, that's so awesome, dude. But fuck. Maybe he'll be on my team. And the thing is, Masamune, his sword, like, when he swings it, it's like half the Coliseum length. So he was just like, hey there. Pow! Pow! I was dead. 2 hits. The first hit almost took my life bar down to 0. And the second hit, I was like, dead. Like, I actually started hysterically laughing because I tried running away, and he was just like, what are you doing? I was like, ah! Death. So, yeah. But after a while, I did figure out everything, and I used him to level up from the rest of the game. So, yeah. Yeah, that was an epic battle of epic proportions. ZombieJit 1 asks, what was the first console and game you ever received and when? Number 2, what is your favorite console and game overall? Number 3, make Lego sculptures of various game sprites. Would it be cool with you if I recreated your sprite featured in the intro? Make a video of it and post it here on YouTube. First console I ever received was the original NES. I got it when I was 4. And literally, I really genuinely couldn't ask for a better console. No, I'd mentioned it before, but damn, seriously, the NES was just like epic shit. Actually, I'll go one better. The second console that I got was actually the Super Nintendo. I didn't get a Sega because my brother got a Sega, so I just played his. But yeah, second console was Super Nintendo. Third console was Nintendo 64. A couple months later, I got a PlayStation. So yeah, I think that I had a pretty good gaming life growing up because all that shit was super awesome. Favorite console, like I said, would have to be PS1. It's just it really like transitioned from like, you know, the NES era was like it brought gaming back from like all the bullshit that Atari and ColecoVision, all the other companies did that fucked it up, and they really brought it back to life. And PlayStation basically went one step further, making it into like a new medium and allowing for like more graphic games, more mature in general. Like audio was a lot better, graphics were a lot better. So yeah, they made it a lot better. As for a favorite game, I'll just go with favorite game on that system, and I'll have to say that it is FF7. But contenders for like favorite game on my PS1 would be Castlevania Symphony of the Night, Resident Evil 2, Metal Gear Solid. There's just so many good games on the system, like so many classic games that revolutionized in general. So yeah, PS1, awesome. Those games, absolutely fucking epic. Actually, if you do want to make a Lego sprite of my sprite, by all means, go for it. That would actually be really kick-ass. If you post a video, please let me know. I'll feature it, because that would be really neat, because I like my little sprite dude. And if you're actually curious, the dude that made it is Mr. Evil Cheese. He's actually on my gaming channel under channels to check out. He's the one that actually drew that up for me. So if you want to credit anybody in that, credit him, because he made it, and yeah, that would be fucking awesome. So definitely, go for it. Chester the Wolf asks, number 1, do you have any creative skills, drawing / painting, creating music, building, and if so, what are they? Number 2, what made you decide to join YouTube and upload rants, reviews, and other videos? Number 3, what was the most unintelligent comment you have read on your videos? And number 4, will you ever take off your hat while recording? Well, I'll answer your fourth question by not wearing my beanie at all during this entire answering you. So yeah. See, I do have a forehead and stuff. It's very neat. Anyway, as for creative skills, I used to draw a whole bunch back in the day. I don't possess nearly the skill that I used to, just because I've been so like out of practice and everything. I don't really do it as much anymore. I do write a lot more than I used to, but I try actually like writing things like, you know, like stories and comics and scripts and stuff like that. So that I think I can do relatively well, just because I've had other people, you know, go and read it, and they've thought that it's actually pretty good. But beyond that, I really don't know. I just try to do most of my creativity on here. I've made other videos for like school and everything, just like, you know, editing and doing all types of crazy shit. So I guess I can edit pretty well. So that's probably the easiest way for me to go and flaunt my creativity is through video as my art form. And one of the reasons some of the reasons why I want to just join YouTube is because, one, it was an easy place for people to actually see the stuff that I'm making, because it's not like I can run my own website and hope that people will just like come in and see the stuff that I'm making. So I decided YouTube would actually be a good outlet for most of my ideas, most of my thoughts, most of my feelings on anything, and yeah, just kind of go all out like I have been over like the course of time that I started this channel. But literally it's just because like the gaming community in general that I decided to do this, like the big companies and like just websites in general, and I thought that I could do what they're doing, but I can do it in video form. And since I'd rather articulate it and talk and do stuff in front of a camera rather than just like write in a forum or some shit, this actually worked really well, and I'm just really glad because you guys seem to enjoy it a whole bunch. So, hooray! Most unintelligent comments that I've ever gotten. I'd say there's probably more than one. I honestly don't actually have any of them memorized, to be completely honest, but it's mostly just like troll comments. Somebody being like, you know, yeah, fuck you, you're a faggot, and a bitch, and I fucked your mom, and you're gay. And like, and the thing is, they'll comment like that, like on a review, like a Dead Space review. They'll say something like that, and it's like, are you mad because I said Dead Space is good and you disagree? Or exactly what is it? And I don't really get it. But the thing is, no matter where you're at, like when you put yourself out on the internet, you're going to get stupid people like, coming at you. And I was well aware that the first time I made a video, I was expecting to get a lot of flack from anybody. Because any old asshole can just type it in, click on my video, watch it, and say, fuck you, eat a dick, drop dead, blah, 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 blah. And say whatever they want. Like, you're this and that. And I don't really care. Like, the very first time that it happened, it kind of irked me, and then I realized that, why the fuck would I give a shit? and I was never bothered after that. So it was like 5 seconds of being annoyed on my very first video, and never bothered me since. So, yeah. There's lots of them, but it's the internet. What the fuck can you do? Randy21765 asks, I love your show, so I want your thoughts on Uncharted Sony exclusive, Dragon Ball Z anime and games. Basically, I want to know, do you like them? Do you know about them? And what are your thoughts on them? As far as Uncharted goes, I love Uncharted. I loved the first one, the second one. I plan on buying the third one, especially after seeing like a lot of gameplay footage. It looks like it's just going to be pretty much keeping up with the other ones. So awesome, basically. As far as Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z go, I love both of those animes a lot. I didn't like GT nearly as much as I like Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z. And over the years, I've actually grown more liking for Dragon Ball than I do Dragon Ball Z, just because Dragon Ball Z was like, it's kind of the same premise over and over again. Everybody's like building up, a bad dude comes down, Goku fights him, he wins or he dies, and he'll come back again to fight the next big dude. Rinse and repeat. The only time that they really seemed to change it up was like during the Cell Saga. And they kind of fucked that up because they made Gohan a complete and utter retard like the very next season. I was just like the Great Saiyaman, like what the fuck was that? But it had really awesome action. It was just too much filler for my taste. Dragon Ball actually has a lot more adventure, a lot more plot significant stuff, and they actually like had a lot more characters. Dragon Ball Z, everybody was a Saiyan, and that was it. Like, all the other characters, they pretty much brushed to the side. Nobody was strong enough to compete with the Saiyans, and that was it. So, yeah, they kind of just lost sight of, like, what made the original so awesome, which was kind of unfortunate. But, yeah, I still enjoyed the living shit out of them. As far as the games go, I like all the Budokai Tenkaichi games. They're actually a lot of fun. A really good fighting game series, too. And I still play them, so yeah, they're pretty badass. Night Power 1100 asks, if you had the power of any character from a video game, whose would it be? And from a video game, who would you kill with it? Let's see. Now, that's actually a good question, but I'm going to go with probably the funniest one I can think of. I would want Super Mario Star Power, because here's the thing. Mario can just run into you, and you're dead. That's it. He's like, woohoo! And then you're just like, no, Mario! And that's it. And then you disappear from the planet. Because in Super Mario games, as soon as he hit somebody, they just popped up in the air and they disappeared. They were gone forever. Their, wife and family, they were just boo-hooing and crying. They enjoyed the insurance money that they got. But, Daddy's gone, not coming back, because he got in Mario's way while he was all souped up on Superstar Power. As for who I would kill with it, I don't know if you mean like who would I kill in a video game with it, or who would I kill in real life with it. If you mean who would I kill in a video game with it, I can't think of anybody better to kill right now other than the new Dante, because I hate him a lot. And killing him with Star Power would be fucking hilarious. I guess, and I'd probably kill, Kuja from Final Fantasy IX, because I hated him. He's an idiot. Such a big idiot. As for, if I had to kill anybody in real life, I'd probably just run through a crowded street, because I think it would look hilarious seeing like a real crowded street like in New York City, and just see like this glittering fucking trail, and then people just like flying in every single direction. Yeah, that would be awesome. Naturally, I would want it recorded, and of course I'd upload it onto YouTube for all of you to see. AlphaOmegaSin running down the street, star powering, living shit out of people in every which way direction. So yeah, that'd be fucking funny. VMC77 asks, your thoughts on other internet celebrities like AVGN, Nostalgia Critic, Cinema Snob, and Red Letter Media. Did AVGN influence you at all? Honestly, out of all of them, the only one I could say that I really like am up to date with is the Angry Video Game Nerd. I do like all of his shit in general. There's a lot of people that'll be like, his newer stuff isn't as good. It's still just as fucking entertaining, in my opinion. But I like him a lot. As for him influencing me, honestly, not really, because the stuff that he makes, like, he's more like about making like an actual movie looking review, which is really cool because he puts a lot of fucking work into that stuff. I respect him for it just because like the editing and the time that he puts into it is mind blowing. Like I do editing and I know the horrors that he's going through just because it's time consuming labor just sitting there hour after hour, and you can work on like a small clip that's only like 30 seconds long, and it can take you forever to do just with all the work you have to like throw into it. So yeah, I do like him a whole lot. um, I don't know. As for everybody else, the Nostalgia Critic, I've watched some of his stuff. He's pretty funny too, but I'm not nearly as up to date on him. I will actually name internet celebrity I do like a lot, and his name is Yahtzee. So if you've ever head over to Zero Punctuation before, Yahtzee is fucking awesome. I just love all his shit. He's a British dude living in Australia, and he reviews games in a way that just absolutely is like, double fucking high five, dude. His shit is awesome. If I met him, I'd be more than glad to shake his hand because he's made me laugh on a number of occasions. Golden Kitten asked, now you're obviously a metalhead, but my question is, do you focus on genres or do you like all metal regardless? Assuming you do, and hell, even if you don't, you've still got to have a preference. What's your favorite styling of metal? Well, whenever it comes to metal in general, there's actually like a lot of genres within it, like subgenres out the fucking ass when it comes to metal. It's absolutely ridiculous. But if I was going to have a preference, it would probably be thrash metal or death metal. I listen to both all the time. I just like them like above everything else. I mean, sure, there are other ones, there's speed metal, which I like a lot. It's just obviously an emphasis on speed. And then you've got grindcore, which is, well, grindcore. You just have to hear it to understand it, which is hard to understand. Huh. Anyway, there's power metal, which power metal can be cool and cheesy at the same time, but it's still really enjoyable. There's black metal, which, there's different versions of black metal. There's melodic metal. There's just all types. But yeah, I'd have to say, like, above all else, I like thrash and death above everything. Just because most of my favorite bands are one or the other, and they're also the most fun to listen to live. I don't know why, I just like both of those a whole fucking bunch. Bowser344 asked, I saw your game sequels video, and I saw the part when you talked about Timesplitters. Do you have any of the games, and if yes, which of the franchises? I actually have all the Timesplitter games, so yeah. I have Timesplitters 1 and 2, and I have Future Perfect on Xbox, just because I like that version more than the PS2 one because it looked a little bit nicer, and 4-player split screen. That's fucking great. So yeah, I have them all, love them all, and really, really want to see another one because it's long overdue. Zombie Freak 987 asks, do you read the comic Spawn? I heard there was a movie and a show. Have you seen any of them? I used to read Spawn whenever I was younger. I barely remember much of shit about it, to be honest, because it's like when Spawn first came out, and I was like fucking forever in age. But as far as like Spawn the movie was terrible. Like, it's so fucking bad. The only cool thing about it was Clown, and that's because Clown actually looked kind of neat in a way. But everything else is absolute cheese. Like, it was really bad. They did that like no justice. But the animated series, so that was actually really, really good. I liked that a lot just because like they premiered it on HBO, and it was violent as shit. It had swearing, it had nudity. It pretty much just balls to the wall, did not fucking care. But it was really good. I actually liked it a lot, and I have the series, so yeah, I definitely dig it. SonicHead K240 asks, I want to start collecting games, and I've got a reasonable collection. So my question is, how do you know if a certain game is worth the price? Research, pretty much. Say you got an iPhone or an Android phone, anything that can access, apps and the internet and everything like that. So while you're out looking for stuff, look up the prices online. Go to eBay, go to Amazon, and start checking the prices. If you can, check other outlets where they sell games, like, at Best Buy, at Walmart, GameStop. just to try to gauge what the price is and compare it. It seems like a lot of work, but the thing is, do you really want to overspend on something? Because you could go to one place, see the game for $15, go to another place, see it for $30, go to another place, and see it for $10. So, that's the thing. You have to go and compare that and be like, well, is it actually worth the price? And it sounds nuts, but that's what I do almost every single time I'm out, unless like I already have it memorized in my head, like, oh, that's totally worth it. It's so fucking cheap. Purchase, sold. Condition, that's also another thing you want to take into account. Because if you're purchasing a game, if it's used, say it's like a collector's edition, does it come with all the stuff? If it doesn't, are you really going to warrant the price whenever it's not complete? Does it include the instruction manual? What condition is the case in? If it's a cartridge, is the label all fucked up on it? Does it actually have the box? Does it have the manual? Those are all things that will determine a price, and you have to keep track of. And again, it does sound like a lot of work, but if you're serious about collecting, these are all things that are going to become second nature to you anytime that you're out looking for stuff. Brimy Mendrix asks, here's a good question. What is your favorite Resident Evil game? My favorite Resident Evil game, not by much, but enough, would have to be Resident Evil 2. Because when that game came out, it was like one of the best sequels I've ever played for a video game. It's kind of like Terminator 2. It's just a sequel that did everything right. It built upon the success of the original in every way and was just awesome. I just love the shit out of it. I still love it to this day, and I just played through it like, I don't know, a couple weeks ago. All Leon's disc. I was going to go through Claire's, but I got tired. So, but yeah, it's just a really awesome game. Second in line would probably be Resident Evil. The remake is really good, the one that's on GameCube. They also have it for Wii too. But yeah, it's such a great franchise. I'm just hoping that the newer ones are going to be just as kick-ass as the original trilogy and Code Veronica, even though it was really fucking hard sometimes. Solid Cloud 14 asks, I have two questions. How much script writing do you do before each rant, and do you think Capcom is getting lazy? Script writing, I actually do damn near zero. There's actually only a couple of videos I've ever scripted, and they're reviews. And that's because whenever I do a review, I'll play the game, and I keep my computer open, and I'll actually type into Notepad for everything so that I remember it, and I can go through it, revise it, and then do the review, and then try to memorize certain segments of it whenever I'm talking. But as far as the rants, I shit you not, I just sit down in front of the camera and just go at it. That's really about it. Most of the time, whenever you see jump cuts and everything, it's because I'm like clearing my throat. Because a lot of times, whenever you're talking for like this video, for instance, there's tons of jump cuts in it because I've been talking for, I'm looking at a clock right now, by the way. I've been doing this for a couple hours now, so it looks like I've been doing this exact video for almost 4 hours. So that's a really long time. I've got a thing of water sitting in front of me, a thing of iced tea. I got a thing of Jaeger sitting over there from when I took a shot. So yeah, I gotta keep my throat, from drying up and dying. But yeah, when it comes to rants, I literally I have a single idea in my head. I sit down and let my brain just bleh everywhere. Hopefully you guys appreciate that. Whenever it comes to Capcom, though, I feel that Capcom is slipping. I can't say necessarily lazy. I think that they're making mistakes. One of the mistakes I feel that they're making is that they're trying to cater to a Western market, which is changing up a lot of their games. Like, they're handing off franchises left and right to, Western developers. Not that there was really a problem with that, but the thing is, by doing so, it's starting to change up a lot of their games. They're trying too hard to make games that they think will sell to the Gears of War and the Call of Duty audience, and try to cash in on the success that those kind of franchises have had. Meanwhile, it's like you're alienating your own audience by doing that, and then nobody's gonna buy your shit. So I think that they need to just stick to what they're doing best, and that's making really kick-ass games. Because being one of my favorite companies ever to make games, I don't want them to fuck up, because that's a ton of franchises that I will sorely miss. Sorely miss. Farfetch for Dinner asks, where do you get most of your games, online or retail? Retail is probably where I get 99% of most of my games, but I have been buying a decent amount on Amazon and on eBay. eBay's a bitch though, just because you have a lot of moments where you're like, yeah, I'm getting this game, and then somebody outbids you by 50 cents, and it's like, I fucking hate you. You're lucky I don't see you. Like, just take a fucking pickaxe to their fucking head, be done with it. For lack of a better name, asks, which next-gen handheld are you more interested in / willing to buy? The PlayStation Vita or Nintendo 3DS? Also, what are your top and bottom 3 consoles? Out of the 3DS and the PlayStation Vita, I would have to say right now, I'm leaning more towards the 3DS only because I know a lot more games that are coming out for it. But the thing is, it's starting to even out because the more that they show off of PlayStation's new fucking juggernaut, I'm like, this is looking pretty good. And I like that just because I want there to be competition for the Game Boy. You know, the better competition, the better Nintendo will have to do. And that'll be really awesome. Then having 2 handhelds would be really nice. My PSP has been gathering dust as of late, sadly. But my DS has not. So that's just a testament. Then it's because DS has more consistent releases than the PSP, which kind of sucks. So hopefully that'll change with this, because I would like to see a much more broadened market for the handheld community. All right, as for my top 3 and bottom 3 consoles, I'll go with the top 3 first. Let's say PlayStation 1, the original NES, and the Dreamcast. Now, the Dreamcast, granted, it was only out for a year, and a lot of people consider it a miserable failure. I considered it one of the best fucking gaming consoles ever to come out. I'd love the shit out of it so much, and I miss it. I really do. And the thing is, it was really successful, but unfortunately, it died off way too soon. But it was a last hurrah for Sega. It really was. And they did a lot of things right with it. It's just timing. That's the one thing that wasn't right. They should have waited. Waited to get DVD implemented, waited, to put better, graphic chips in it to make it, look nicer, to compete with the PS2 and then soon to be Xbox and GameCube. Because if the Dreamcast would have stayed around, it would have looked like a pile of shit by comparison. Then half the games wouldn't have been able to be ported because they wouldn't have been able to fit on their GD-ROMs. Because, well, they were way smaller. So yeah, but I did. I have a lot of fond memories of it because it was an awesome time. As for bottom 3 consoles, well, let's see. Bottom 3 consoles. First up is the Atari Jaguar. It's a miserable fucking pile of crap. That's all there is to it. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's just a piece of shit, and it should have never existed. Ever. I guess the Sega 32X. Granted, it's not a standalone system, but they were planning on making it a standalone system, and it was such a miserable fucking failure they didn't bother. For anybody wondering, they were calling it the Sega Neptune. But it was just a Sega 32X, which is what the fuck it should have been to begin with. Instead of a fucking parasitic organism attaching itself to the fucking poor Sega Genesis like a tumor. And lastly, I guess the CDI. Because CDI had nothing on it that was of note, except for the Zelda and Mario games. But guess what? The only reason people know about them is because they're big games. And what they do? They fucked them up. They fucked them right in their ass with a fucking chainsaw and kept turning it left and right, and then they just kicked it all the way through. So yeah, it sucked. It's a piece of shit. So those 3 systems, yeah, they're my bottom 3. And bottom 3, I mean they're very, very bottom. Below the basement, below dirt, somewhere in hell being tortured, I hope, never ever to return. Final Fantasy Movies asks, what is your favorite Final Fantasy? And what is your opinion on Final Fantasy 12? Favorite Final Fantasy, I've actually mentioned before, is 7, but I'll name some of the other ones off that I like a whole bunch. There is Final Fantasy 6, which is our Final Fantasy 3 here in America. Final Fantasy Tactics I liked a lot, including the Tactics Advanced titles. Final Fantasy X, Final Fantasy 8, Final Fantasy 9. Let's see, Dissidia, Final Fantasy. I like both of those games actually, even though the first one is better than the second one. Crisis Core, naturally, really good game. And yeah, that's pretty much all I can think of off the top of my head. But 7 pretty much rules them all, at least for me, just because that was the Final Fantasy that made me a big fucking fan of that franchise in general. Sensei of Honor asks, which hole would you fuck Lara Croft in? That was blunt. Lara Croft, well, let's see. A lot of her games frustrated the living shit out of me because of the terrible control mechanics, even though I had fond memories of the first couple games. So if I was going to fuck her in any hole, I think it would be her eye hole. Right in the eye socket. I'd pop my dick in there and I'd wear her fucking skull as a codpiece. So yeah, that's where I'd fuck Lara Croft. Yep. Right in the eye. Like her eye meets my one-eyed monster. Can you see that, Miss Croft? Oh, yes, I can. That's a fucked up image. Kira the Hedgehog asked me if I could take any video game whatsoever and make it into an anime, which one would I make? Well, that's actually a good question. For a long time, it was Disgaea, but they actually made that into an anime, and like she had mentioned, they made Devil May Cry into an anime, both of which actually turned out really good. But if I had to pick any games that weren't, let's see, Shadow Hearts would be one of them, at least the first two, because they actually had like the same characters, and I love Yuri as a character. He's absolutely fucking brutally awesome. Brutal. Next, let's see, for a sequel, I would like Grandia 2, because out of the entire Grandia series, Grandia 2 is actually my favorite. I mean, I love part 1, but Grandia 2 was just a little bit better to me. I would like to see that made into an anime, because I think it could work really well. Like, they have very colorful characters. I think it would just work really, really well within, like, that game's world. Another game I would like to see made into an anime would be the Lunar games. At least Lunar 1 and Lunar 2. They were just amazing games, but the thing is, in between the gameplay, you would actually be treated to really well done anime cutscenes. And I always thought, well, why don't they just make like full-fledged anime? Or at least like a movie or something like that. I think it could be done really well. And I just love that franchise so much, it would be amazing. Then I would seriously get it like the day it comes out. It'd be fucking awesome. Guilty Gear. Now, that's something I would love to see in animated form in general. Like, almost all the Guilty Gear games, they'll have, like, these cutscenes, like, well, it's not really cutscenes, but, like, at the beginning of the game, they have, like, an animated form of all the characters and introduction with really badass music, as per usual. And that would just be fucking mind-blowingly awesome. And it's one of the few fighting games that has a storyline that, like, I've actually given a shit about and have, like, actually followed. So seeing it, like, you know, star Soul and Kai, have other characters like Dizzy and Testament and everything, and Chip, and I would just be so happy, because that could turn out to be really, really fucking awesome. XX Simon Haley Girl XX asked me, what do I think of Galarians? Well, I did like it a whole bunch whenever it came out for PS1, but then they made that real shitty sequel, and I was just like, no, you had so much potential to be, like, pretty cool. I mean, granted, the game's kind of got some fucked up flaws here and there, but I enjoyed it still, especially in a market that needs more survival horror in any way, which is weird, because it's not really survival horror, but it is. I don't know. But anyway, I enjoyed the game. I should go back and play it. You mentioning that makes me want to play it now. But anyway, also get some sleep, because you're like all tired and dying. So stop being tired and dying. Do it now. Go to sleep like this. Well, no, not like that. That's more like narcolepsy. You don't want to just fall asleep at random, especially sitting up and snoring, because that'd just be awful. Anybody could just draw wieners on your face. I do that to people at my parties. So if anybody's ever at one of my parties, I'm probably going to draw a wiener on them if they're sleeping before me. Wiener, 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 wiener. Anyway, but yeah, that's what I think of it. And also, I'm glad that you have the same opinion on Resident Evil, because goddamn it needs to be fucking fixed. So, ladies and gentlemen, this concludes AlphaOmegaSin's Q&A. I've been at this for a couple hours straight, and then I'm going to have to take all these video clips that I've recorded, throw them into my editor, and I'm going to be working on that for the next day or two. So, again, I thank all of you so very fucking much for doing me the honor of answering your questions and giving shit enough about me to want to ask these questions. But yeah, I'm absolutely fucking tired and hungry. I literally have not eaten throughout the duration of this. So I'm going to go and make some food now. So as always, gamers, gamettes, keep on fucking gaming. And remember, comment down below on anything that I don't know, anything that I responded to or whatever the case may be. Yeah, because it's always much appreciated. And rate. And all the other good stuff. I don't know. All right. Later.